or send your comments via our various social media handles now showing on your screen. So let's get started by taking a look at what's making the headlines into this newspaper. Mr. Godwin.
All right, thank you very much, Ebuka, and a very pleasant morning to our viewers out there. So this morning we would be starting with the Punch newspaper. There are actually a whole lot of stories making headlines there, but we would be starting with the lead story that says minimum wage, Labour dumps negotiation over federal government 48,000 naira proposal. This can be seen on page 2 on the Punch newspaper. And we have the kickers there that says negotiation has broken down. 48,000 naira 48,000 naira amount to wage reduction, and this is coming from all the several unions. I think the TUC and NLC who were at that meeting with the federal government. Then above the masthead we have Tinubu to tackle power outage with 2 gas plants. This can be seen on page 20 of the Punch newspaper. Then we also have imported food prices rise as inflation hits 33.6%. This is coming from the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics and can be seen on page 19 of the Punch newspaper. And then we have this coming from Obasanjo there that says Western democracy model not working for Nigeria. Obasanjo insists. This is, can be seen on page 12 of the Nation's newspaper. Then just by the side of the masthead there we have Rivers wave off 5 pro Wike's commissioners resignation. You can see this on page 11 with the picture there of the governor of Rivers State, Sim Fubara. Then we have a picture story there, and it is carrying the president of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed, and this is also with a meeting with the executive chairman, Department of Health in Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Mansour Al Mansouri, and the group chairman, United Bank of Africa, Tony Elumelu. This is a picture story we have for you there. Then by the side of the picture story we have Oyo set for Olubadan's coronation, buries Balogun on June 1st. This can be seen on page 11 of the paper. Then we have this from the world leaders. It says Biden world leaders condemn shooting of Slovak prime minister. This can be seen on page 8. Then below that picture story there we have this very touching one, sad indeed. It says autopsy failed to reveal the cause of Mohbad's death, and this is coming from the pathologist believed to have conducted that autopsy. Then by the side we have a Emefiele implemented Naira swap without Buhari's approval. This is coming from the EFCC and can be seen on page 7. Then the last but not the least story there says FGI's 2.7 billion naira revenue from marine sector. This can be seen on page 27 on the Punch newspaper. So this is all we have on the Punch.
All right, thank you, Mr. Godwin. Here we have the Vanguard newspaper, and above the masthead it says headline inflation rates. Headline inflation rate rises to 33.69% in April. That's on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper. And then Edo Guba, Obaseki warns politicians against frustrating palace. Any gay peace talks. The kicker says moves to broker peace to meet Oba of Benin, Yese and others. That story is on page 7 of the Vanguard newspaper. Right next we have the article kicks against FG's plan to borrow pension funds. Article kicks against FG's plan to borrow pension funds. That's on page 8 of Vanguard newspaper. Rivers crisis, 5 pro Wike commissioners resign. That was on also on the headlines of Punch newspaper, and it's here again on Vanguard newspaper. All right. So the major story says minimum wage. Labour quits talks as FG offers 48,000 naira. Uh, all right. So that's also on the major headlines of Punch newspaper, and it's on page 5 of Vanguard newspaper, where the kicker says government offer insults sensibilities of Nigerian workers. FG's proposal is a reduction of federal workers' current pay, and OPS begs Labour to return to negotiation table. Alright, repetition of the picture story there says the meeting of Elimelu in talks with United Arab Emirates president yesterday. So beside that, we have governors have killed local governments. That's coming from the Senate, and it's on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. And below that we have CNG nationwide deployment begins May 29. Alright, so below the picture story we have Matawali. We won't rush investigation. That's coming from EFCC on Matawale's case. That's on page 13 of Vanguard newspaper. Alright, so the sports Vanguard Sports says Finidi promises NPFL players space in Super Eagles. That's beautiful. Alright, that's much we can take on the newspaper headlines this morning. And back in the studio here, I still have with me my co-anchor, Mr. Godwin Ojiri, and I have Mr. Raphael Oja Okomo, and I also have Comrade Abraham Soko virtually. Alright, so gentlemen, let's discuss. The major story here across the papers is the minimum wage issue. Right, so I know Labour and their TUC proposed a certain wage amount, 651,000 naira, thereabout. And as at yesterday's negotiation table, at the table yesterday, FG is saying that they can only pay 48,000.
I like the fact that you laughed after you said it. You know, when you
48,000 out of 650.
You know, when you go to the market and then you're negotiating with the woman in the market, there's how you negotiate to the point that you meet at the middle. How do you begin to look at 48,000 naira from 651? It doesn't make any sense. Even this 48,000 naira that 2 years ago I don't think would have been able to do anything. Now you increase your tariffs, you increase your tax, you take away subsidy. Everything seems to be going on the roof. And then just wasn't it last year or last year's was saying 30,000 naira minimum wage cannot buy
87 or 86.
Do you understand me? It doesn't make any sense when they want to make approve maybe money for whatever they want to do. It's very easy. They do what they want to do and they move on with it, and nobody's questioning that. And when it comes to the common man, it is a big problem. 48,000 naira to do what with it? I read on the what's it called, Labour quit talks. Some say Labour left the room, Labour whatever language walked out. In fact, they were even more respectful by walking. Some people would have run out of the place because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make. It appears that they are not in tune with the recent realities of the common man. Because if they are in tune with the realities now, I don't think anybody will be proposing even 50,000 naira.
Yeah. What's your minimum wage?
Alright, Ebuka, I never expected that from you. It is indeed, I love the way I think Vanguard captures it. It says it is an insult, one of the kickers there, on the sensibilities of the Nigerian workers. Indeed, it is an insult on our sensibilities. Because you cannot imagine people who are asking an average Nigerian to tighten their belt. And yet, as our belt is being tightened, you are widening the tax net.
And slowing down the economy.
Can you imagine? And the same set of persons would appear before average Nigerians there, workers who are struggling to offset bills coming from high electricity tariff, coming from a whole lot. Our economy as it stands now, inflation has spiraled to
33.6%.
Just imagine.
Just in April.
Now this is where we find ourselves as a nation, and yet Labour have been advocating for an increase in minimum wage before now. Please, before now. Right, even during Buhari, before Tinubu came on board. And you came on board, you have this subtle way of making them to feel that you are getting things worked out. Up to now, nothing has shown that you have the average interest of the Nigerian workers at heart. That is one. Then secondly, you now gather them, you call them for a meeting. As against what they propose, you are bringing a 48,000. According to the story, what I read there, before they walk out, it says the labor man they asked, is this for transportation allowance?
It's true.
Is this for clothing allowance?
Or is it for sitting allowance?
And after that, he just asked his colleague to step out, and they left the meeting. So this is an abuse completely. And my pain is that it is coming from the secretary of, I think, the government. It just shows where is empathy on an average citizen of Nigeria. Where is it? We've lost it entirely. Gradually, we are losing our humanity as a nation, because you no longer care if people perish. All you know is yourself and how you will be able to retain power. That is how far we've gone in a nation like this.
All right, viewers. As it is now, the concern is more on the elites and those in power, forgetting the poor masses and the young upcoming graduates in the streets who lack the opportunity to earn a living and who have no jobs for the means of livelihood. So please, we want to hear your views and your comments. Please remember that the call lines are showing right now on your screen, and also you can do us well to send us your comments via our various social media handles also showing on your screen. Alright, so Comrade Abraham Soko, if you look at the headlines this morning, it's saying that the increase in inflation, the expected revenue from marine sector 2.7 billion naira, and then article laments against the and I want to chip in that yesterday I was listening to a show, and a retired accountant from a local government somewhere in Lagos was lamenting about his withheld pension. And when he was asked the amount, it was about 5.6 million naira for someone who has served for 25 years. And now he has not been paid for since his retirement. He hasn't been paid a dime, and now FG is going to borrow
that same money
from pension fund. I really don't know what you have to say about these headlines this morning, but I would like to hear your views, sir.
Okay, it is totally unacceptable.
He's asking a question.
Yeah, come again. Alright, I think okay, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with totally with article on his submission that the pension funds should not be touched, because so far I don't the pension scheme has not been 100%. It has not been regular in most states. As you have said, there's that man, the accountant, is complaining that for a number of years after retirement, his pension
All right. Sorry for that complications. We're having some network delays from either of the angles. All right. So back to you, Mr. Raphael. EFCC. Sorry, I'm going to change the question for you. Then EFCC is saying that MFLE went ahead with the naira swap without the approval from the FG, from the presidency as at that time. What do you think about that?
I will not doubt anything that is coming from the EFCC concerning that, because the first question you hear from the #1 man at that point in time is, I assure you, I am not aware.
Always.
It looks like he's never aware of what is happening.
So it
and
now
a whole
begs
lot
to
of persons in his
cabinet
were running and doing things.
So it begs to
approval.
ask, who was actually running the country at that point in time? Because if you're not aware of what was happening under your nose, it means everybody had access to power. Everybody had access to power. I remember there was a time that people were complaining, why did you go and do your party meeting in the state house? That's supposed to be for your FEC and the likes. Do you understand me? And then you're carrying a party meeting. So at that point in time, I think everything was permissible. And then he comes to you and tells you, I am not aware about it. And like that's why I started by saying I don't think I would doubt anything that is coming from what is it called, the EFCC concerning that matter, because if he is never aware of whatever is happening, it means what the EFCC is saying was true or is true. That he did what he did. Because if you ask him today now, he will tell you in time, were you aware of whatever it is you were doing as the #1 citizen of the Federation?
So bad about that. But I have Soko back online, and I want him to continue in response to the initial question asked.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that breaking transmission. I had little problems with my network. So as I was saying, I say it's unacceptable for the federal government to do anything with the pension fund, because the pension fund, as I said earlier, is not being utilized 100%. I think there are a series of backlogs that are unable to be paid to the workers. And if you are not able to utilize this 100%, why borrow from it? So personally, I feel that doesn't make any sense at all coming for the federal government. So I align, for once I'm aligning with Mr. Tiko on this. It doesn't make sense at all.
How about the inflation and the revenues and the borrowing and the lending that the FG and the presidency is embarking on recently?
Okay, so I don't have any problem borrowing to build infrastructures. If you are borrowing, say you want to build capital infrastructures, that's okay. But if you are borrowing to probably say you want to pay workers, that's totally unacceptable. You cannot borrow to pay salaries. I think we can depend more on internally generated revenue. We can depend more on our oil sales to pay salaries, not borrowing to pay salaries. But when it comes to borrowing to build infrastructures, borrowing to build power, improve our power supply, which has been very, very down for a number of months right now.
No, it's
I
not.
think
It's
that's
not
okay.
improving the power supply. It says a loan for electricity meters, not
to get meters.
Okay. Yeah, I feel okay. In a way, I think my other uncles might disapprove. But borrowing to buy meters, I don't think it's so bad, because there's need for our electricity infrastructures to be improved. I think when it comes to metering, the numbers of metering in the country is very, very poor right now. So when you give meters to the public, a number of households have meters. I think they will be able to control their power supply better. They will be able to be accountable with what they pay better. So I don't think that's bad, because it's still well within improving the infrastructure within the power generating sector.
Thank you, sir.
All right, comrade, still on you. I just want to take us back a bit. So I need your reaction on the 48,000 naira proposal that the federal government is demanding of the labor unions. Now, given the fact that presently our inflationary rate have risen to a high point of 33.6, Nigerians are suffering, but yet it seems as though the federal government is not feeling it. And yet, to caution this effect, they are doing nothing whatsoever in this line. Let me get your reaction on that, sir.
Okay, on the breakdown of that labor talk, the federal government labor talk, I think there's need for us to look at the data. If you look at the data, if you look at what is on ground, 48,000 is not enough for as to serve as the minimum wage of the country presently. So I think that 48,000 offer by the federal government it is unacceptable. As you have said, inflation is 33%. We have removed subsidy. The cost of food has skyrocketed. So if you are actually offering 48,000, what can 48,000 do for the common worker? What can 48,000 do for the common man? It is totally unacceptable. But on the contrary, if you look at what the labor leaders are demanding, I think they are demanding 650,000 as minimum wage. Is this actually realistic? I don't think, on the contrary, comparatively speaking, this is realistic, because you have not been able a number of states are not even able to pay the 30,000 minimum wage that is previously, or that is in law right now. So you saying that you want a minimum wage of 615,000? I don't think that is realistic, sir.
All right.
I don't.
Comrade, thank you so much. I really got what you said. But I want us to create a comparative analysis like you said. Imagine the federal government asking Nigerians to tighten their belts, but it has shown clearly that they are not ready to tighten their belts. Those in the House of Reps are still going on getting luxurious cars for humongous amounts, to the detriment of an average Nigerian out there. So the question to you now is, at what point, where should the line be? Where should the divided line be? At what level, at what amount do you think will be fair on the federal government coming from the Nigerian Labour Congress? At what amount? If 48,000 is considered too little, and there are 15,000 is considered too big, to you as an average Nigerian out there, where do you think the Labour and the federal government should have a meeting point?
So to start with first, I want to start by agreeing with you that there is need for the federal government, for them to be honest, because you cannot really ask Nigerians to tighten their belts while your legislature spends so much amount of money on luxurious cars and on very, very huge allowances on your part. It is not actually fair, and it is not honest, and it is not transparent. But when you come to the presidency, in recent, its number of workers, the numbers of entourage that embark on foreign trips, I think that is honesty coming from the presidency. We need to understand that there is separation of powers between the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. The executive cannot dictate to the legislative body to cut their allowances, not to buy cars. The executive cannot do that. I understand that Fubara is trying to do that in Rivers State, saying that he has the power to make the legislature not to exist. That is illegality on the part of the Rivers State government, because a working democracy should not work in that manner. There should be separation of powers. But to answer your question, what is actually fair for the workers? You have to take inflation into account. You have to take the removal of subsidy into account. You have to take the high cost of goods into account. So I feel right now, within 90,000, 100,000 is a fair amount of minimum wage in this country. We need to understand that we are producing. I heard that our supply of crude rose to 1.2 million barrels per day. The honest truth is that we have money in this country. It's time for the workers to start seeing the benefits of the wealth we claim to have as a country. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Abraham and Mr. Raphael, for your views and comments this morning. All right, viewers, we'll be right back after this break, but don't forget to stay tuned for our sports segments, where we'll be discussing the latest news and developments in the world of sports. Please stay tuned. the Punch Sports extra. All right, so page 2 also have Adova League champions, pillars, babes, strikers win, and page 2 also has Fasuba's daughters Sata's UK record. On Fernandez, that's on page 4. And then Madrid's Couture's to start UEFA Champions League final, and it's on page 3. Page 6 has a story about Iwobi's eyes on EPL milestone. Alright, and Lukman loses Coppa Italia final. That's on page 7 of the Punch Sports Extra. The match yesterday, Atlanta 0, Juventus 1. Alright, so we also have more stories on with us here. We have NFF unveils Finidi George as Super Eagles coach, names Amokachi and other assistants. And Super Eagles Bafana unleashes their 36-man stars study squad for Finidi George, Nigeria. Alright, then Nigerian player Kinlechi Nwakali faces sanction for phone use during crucial league game. Alright, let's first start with the discussion. Let's start the discussion with George Finidi and his Super Eagles coaching crew. What are their plans and strategy for the upcoming match? Please remember you can join this conversation by calling the numbers now showing on your screen or sending your comment via our various social media handles. Gentlemen, what do you think is George Finidi's plans and strategy for the games, the upcoming games, the qualifiers, and every other friendlies?
Only George Finidi will know.
What do you think are his plans?
But one thing I would say to this is that finally we have a coach.
Yeah, a Nigerian
coach. We have a Super Eagles coach, and I believe he has also drafted a 36-man squad for the qualifiers against the South African team and also the Benin Republic team for the World Cup qualifiers. And he also has an experienced assistant coach in Daniel Amokachi, who was there at the 2013 AFCON as a winner, assisting the then late coach Stephen Keshi, and also a winner, a teammate of Finidi George in the 1994 Nations Cup and also at the World Cup. So I believe they'll be able to work together, put their ideas together, and the experience with which Amokachi has gathered coming from a winning coach, I'll call him a winning coach, to one who is about to spearhead the team filled with stars. And of course, he has also promised to work with players from the local team. I don't know how he's going to do that.
Yeah, he said he will field in more of players from the NPLFL.
Amokachi did it during his time with Stephen Keshi. We had at least like 5 or 6 of them in that final, notably Mba, Sunday Mba, and a few of them, Ruben Gabriel. So, like I said, only Finidi will know what he has planned for the Super Eagles and the games we have ahead. But one thing is sure, whatever you plan is, it must give Nigeria results.
So, just before I come to you, my co-anchor, I would like to ask Comrade Abraham Suku. Comrade, you were on the show last week, last edition, when we were talking about Finidi George, and we talked about Amunike and about him being part of the backroom staff with Finidi George. But here this morning we have the list of the backroom staff. We cannot find Amunike on the list. Instead, we have Dan Amokachi as the first assistant head coach. We have Benjamin James as second assistant head coach. We have Abudin Barua as a goalkeeper coach, and we have Chima Onyike as a fitness trainer, and then I think we have a foreigner as the match analyst. Alright, so what's your view, and what do you think Finidi has in his pockets?
Okay, as Mr. Raphael rightly said, it's only Finidi George that can tell us what he actually has for us and what the agenda he has for the team, the progress he has for the team. Only Finidi can answer that question. But back to what you have said, I think I am very, very glad. I'm very happy that the controversy surrounding Amunike as the assistant coach has been laid to rest right now. As one of our guests said last week, there cannot be two captains on the ship. Exactly. I personally feel that the ego of Amunike and Finidi George cannot make them to have a good working relationship. I personally feel that way. So I think that it is actually right to have someone in the caliber of Amokashi to be the first assistant to Finidi George. It is a step in the right direction. I also want to appeal to the NFF to be prompt in the payment of the allowances to the indigenous coaches, because I feel that for a number of years, the way we treat our foreign officials is not the same, and it's not acceptable. I read somewhere that Christian Shuku is still being owed salaries from his time as the coach of the Super Eagles. So I appeal to the NFL to treat our indigenous coaches fairly, because I think that the backroom team, including Finidi George, we have all indigenous coaches. I think so. So that's that on this.
All right, thank you so much. For me, as one person, I would want to align myself completely to the contribution. But one thing for me that is coming out here is that the match against the Bafana and the Zimbabwe team coming up later, say in June, would be a good litmus test for Finidi George and whosoever he has
and his crew
and his crew or technical assistants there. If you follow all through the AFCON, you will know that the Bafanas are not a team you can just easily write off. They have already mapped out their strategies. They have brought out their 36 man that would be able to stand in. And remember, for them, it is everything when it comes to matches like this. And for Finidi, is one match he cannot afford to lose. I always keep saying this, but I'm happy because he has, for now, the right technical assistance that would give him all that he needs. So for me, I would just leave it there, believing that when the match against the South African team comes up, he would deliver just as people have appraised him to be.
Yeah, so it's also worthy to note that he can't be holding two ships at the same time. So he has resigned his former position as the coach of Eyimba FC of Aba, as he takes up a more higher level of authority at the national level. All right, so gentlemen, our Nigerian player Kelechi Nwakali has gone to misbehave.
I really don't understand what is wrong with Kelechi Nwakali.
At his phone,
he's still struggling to get to his form that everybody knows him to be. Mind you, Kelechi Nwakali was the best player at the World Cup where Osimhen was named Golden Ball because Golden Boot because of the high scorer. Nwakali had the Golden Ball as the best player of the tournament. And check where he is now, and check where even Osimhen. I'm not even looking at, most times when you look at all those players the Nigerian players have played with, to check their European counterpart. Look at Mikel, for example, and Messi. They played in the same tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
Only Mikel had the chance of at least getting to a particular stage in that era. Nobody again. Only Mikel. Now you have an Nwakali who played alongside someone like Osimhen. See where Osimhen is at the moment, and Nwakali is nowhere to be found. And then you're on the bench. Usually people who sit on the bench, who sit outside, who watch. As a matter of fact, all of us when we're watching football, we see all the errors the coaches don't see.
That's true.
We see everything the coaches don't see, and that's your work when you're on the bench. First and foremost, you're cheering your fellow players, while also watching to see in case they bring you in, what can I do differently, and then you decided to be chatting on the bench. It just shows you how serious he takes his career.
I think if you bring about that comparison, at that stage or in that year of that tournament, there were about not less than 23 men list that performed, that went to that tournament. So if you're also aligning Osimhen and Wakali, you should also talk about all that.
No, why I'm mentioning Wakali, because it's in our face at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. I get
it's in our face at the moment. So I'm drawing that comparison with you, and sometimes some of their problems starts from their management not choosing the right clubs for them, and then when it's time for them to move, you notice that they're moving to the wrong clubs for the wrong reason, most especially money. Do you understand me?
And they don't get enough playing time.
Wakali had disappeared for a long time, and was it last week or last 2 weeks I read how he scored or he did something for the club, and you think, oh, he's coming back, and the next major on the phone, on the bench. How do you drag yourself from not being seen? You're now being seen for the bad reason.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Raphael. And just to ask, because a whole lot of persons will be asking, a law is not broken if it is not known. So my own question will now be to you, sir. Is there any place, is there any written code to say when such is going on, that players are not supposed, if not in the back room, they should leave the phone there? Why give them access to
bring their phones,
to bring it on the pitch?
Now I stand to be corrected. I've not read anywhere where they said you can or can't. Do you understand me? But over the years, we've seen this play out where everybody on the bench, sometimes you watch some games and you see all the players standing by the line, especially maybe
in the final or in a very crucial match.
Yeah, you cannot find anybody pressing for at that point in time, because everybody is focused as to what maybe the team needs a win, maybe the team is winning and they are defending, and there's tension everywhere. I remember the Euro, what year was that Portugal won, that even Ronaldo didn't know when he started doing the job of the coach.
Yes.
Do you understand me? That's to tell you how serious this guy is taking. And when your team is losing, you find everybody on the bench sober. So at what point do you get to press your phone? So I think there are some things that you don't need to be told. We see them when they're finished with the games. Maybe they win a trophy and they come out with their phones snapping. Nobody faults them for that. But when the game is going on, what the coach is not seeing, even you as a footballer should be able to see, and then when you get in, do the difference.
All right, thank you so much. Comrade Soko, I think we're coming over to you now. Same question. Is there any written code anywhere for a player not to make use of his phone when a game is going on? That is one. Secondly, I would want to now ask, does this boil down to personal discipline on the side of the Nigerian player?
Okay, I want to start by saying, generally, in life, you cannot make it without some form of discipline. You can't. Let's leave football for now. In other aspects of your life, you cannot make it without personal discipline. And when you come to football, you see that the players that make it more, that are more successful, that are more successful generally, individually, are disciplined players. For instance, look at Ronaldo. As big as he is, you have not heard Ronaldo coming to training late. You understand? A journal I read, they said that Ronaldo is actually the first to arrive in training and the last to leave. So it takes his professionalism very, very seriously. Coming to your question, I think that there are written rules in all clubs about the do's and don'ts. For instance, when Frank Lampard was the coach of Chelsea, he had rules and regulations, and he also have attached fines when you contravene such rules. So it's not about saying I don't know. When you come late, you know that, okay, you have to pay £500. You pay that. There's no room for argument. So I feel that when you come to this club, Shabas, that Kelechi plays for, I think that for them to be saying that he has contravened their rules, 2021, I think Wankali, he lost his contract in his former club, his Spanish team. I think Radina, that was his former club. He lost his contract due to disciplinary reasons, arriving late for the AFCON. That was why he lost the contract for the Spanish team. So if you go back to his antecedents, you see that this guy has disciplinary issues. And as Mr. Raphael has said, you cannot make it in football with the lack of discipline. That's just the truth.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. So the last match, the uh, Chiefs of Portugal played, which this incident occurred. I think they lost 1-0 in favor of the opponent. All right. So and it's just like Mr. Raphael said, when your team is losing, you're supposed to be focused and paying attention and following up with the match to ensure you are able to make effective correction if given the opportunity to come back into the field of play. But that's so bad of Mr. Wakali for not following through and just making use of his phone during the game. All right, so we want to look look forward to a better play time for him. I don't know, maybe because he probably might be having issues with the management or being angry that
I don't think that excuse because
or being angry that he's not being fielded at that
Conrad
match.
just mentioned what happened to him at his last club.
Mm.
Mind you, if you check the clubs he has played
For, yeah.
in this short period, almost 4 or 5 thereabouts, and every one of them had a disciplinary issue. So it's not even a case of now you and the management, it's you as an individual.
You as an individual, exactly.
If you're fighting, if I am fighting you, I'm fighting Comrade, it means the three of you are not the problem.
That's true.
It means I am the problem. Do you understand?
Yeah.
If everywhere you go to there is an issue, it means you are the problem. I need to, Everton's FA Cup, I can't remember when Dan Amokachi was in the team. It was a funny scenario. Amokachi was watching the game. Everton was losing by a goal to 0. He was watching the game and it was time for the coach to make a sub because the player got injured. Nobody called Amokachi. Amokachi just quickly wore jersey, wore boots, everything, and ran onto the pitch. The coach was calling him back and shouting. He ran, when you enter field, this is the area where the coach is. Yeah. He ran to the other end so that they cannot call him back. He ran inside. I know when he entered, they couldn't bring him back. What did he do? At the time that game ended, it was an FA Cup final. Everton won by 2-1, and Amokachi scored in the game. So he can be excused for doing what he did,
but he'll be sanctioned.
Definitely. For him to go there, that means he has seen something which the person there was not
able to do. Exactly.
If he allowed the coach will not put him, because if you watch the clip, you see the coach calling him, telling the linesman, "This is not the person I want to put." But Oga don't go inside. So when you're on the bench, you and I, when we sit on the screen, we can practically from our home tell you first 11 that will work for the coach.
Exactly.
He's the one they are paying.
And even tell the right formation and the right lineup that will work.
The moment you watch 5-10 minutes, this person is not in this game,
remove him. Then
you are down there where you can see things and effect changes immediately, and then you decided to be doing no. Doesn't work that way.
Well. All right. So moving away from the bad side, we now go a little bit towards the good side, and a little bit of again the bad side, where we have the case of Osimhen being lined out or sidelined from as a result of probably injuries or anything against his next match against Fiorentina. Osimhen is listed as one of the players that would not field in that game. And also we want to talk about our forward Boniface, Nigerian forward Victor Boniface wins Bundesliga's best rookie. So that's comrade. That's I think that's a good news for us to celebrate about, because one of our own is out there making our nation proud. All right, so comrade, what do you think about Osimhen's injury that probably will see him missing out from Fiorentina's tie and the Super Eagles World Cup qualifiers match?
Okay, that's a very sad one, because Osimhen has been the engine of the Napoli side, and even our Super Eagles team. He has been the engine. I read that it was due to muscular injury, and it might even rule him out of our World Cup qualifiers. So I think that's a sad one. But on a positive note, the replacement, the alternative we have, which is Victor Boniface, he has come out back from injury banging, and I'm very, very glad that he was able to win the Rookie of the Season for his team and for the Bundesliga. So I think it's a good one. There's a positive news on one hand, and there's a negative news on the other hand. So I think generally it is a win-lose situation for us as individuals, and as supporters of the Eagles team. I think it's a win-lose situation because we have on one hand Osimhen going out and Boniface replacing him. So I think it's a good one.
What of the other? The other list of four that we have in it. We have Terem. We have.
I feel for Osimhen at this time. If you even check as the season was winding down, even his form to an extent was also not
dropping
up there. But I don't think Nigeria, the Eagles, should have a problem because towards the ending of the season, all our attackers were firing from all sides of cylinder, from Boniface to Terem Murphy to Cyril Dessas to Paul Onwachu. You can the list goes on and on. In fact, to Lookman, the challenge, and that's why I said it's not enough to say you're not a Super Eagles coach. What can you do
with these talents
that has been placed in your hands?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I watched this as score last weekend, and all these players I've mentioned do the likes. Boniface just winning the Rookie of the Year, and our former coach said the reason why we didn't win AFCON was because Boniface was not there. Who knows what would have happened if Boniface was on the field? Do you understand? It might be worse, it might be the other way around. So I feel for Osimhen at this point in time, but I think we shouldn't fret. Nigeria Super Eagles shouldn't fret. The problem is now what will Judge Finidi do with the talents that is under his care at the moment?
Okay. I think based on what you just said, it is prompting a question for me to you, Mr. Rafi, and that is, do you think that all of these Nigerian forwards that are delivering in their club side, do you think they have all it takes to want to bring in that same energy to the Nigerian national team?
For now, I would say yes, because the season would have ended by then.
Okay.
The season would have ended by then. Whatever it is that they are protecting will no longer be on the table, because most times what these players look at is, if I get injured, I lose my place in my team in Europe and so on and so forth. But now when they come back, is the break or definitely the season ending this month, and you have like almost, if you get me.
Yeah.
So they're not even, and the season doesn't start again until August.
Okay.
So now they are free, they are fresh, and I believe everybody wants to get a stake in this Super Eagles team, new Super Eagles team, because we have a new coach. I know what happens when a new coach comes in.
Exactly.
Everybody wants to prove themselves,
wants to win his shirt.
So this is that moment where everybody stakes the claim.
Okay.
All right. So, Mr. Comrade Soko, let me ask you this question just briefly before we punch ahead to the other parts of the discussions this morning. I want to know what's actually the problem of Super Eagles, because we have a list of good players playing very well, perfectly well at their club side, but when it comes to the national team, we are falling behind. What's the problem? Before during the AFCON, we complain that okay, we have strikers, we have midfielders, we don't have central back, and then Ekon comes to prove us wrong,
and they didn't want to carry him.
They didn't want to take Ekon, plus Ekon to the AFCON, and now what exactly is the problem also?
Okay, Mr. Ebuka,
yes,
I totally don't agree with you when you say that Nigeria Super Eagles team have a problem, and I will tell you why.
Why, sir?
When you say problem, what do you mean? We are the second. We came out second in the just concluded AFCON.
Yeah,
and we played beautifully well. We competed against
we will not deny the fact that we have challenges. The nation in a whole knows we have challenges. Even them also know we have challenges. So we're trying to know, what are these challenges? How can we perform better? How can we be the first and not the second?
Okay. Yes. Now, how can we be the first? I have been all for giving Finidi the job. If you check my previous opinions on that, I've been a huge supporter of Finidi George, and the reason why I've been a supporter of Finidi George is because I believe that at this stage there should be continuity. I believe that the just concluded tournament we had, it was a really good stepping stone. We achieved a milestone. We had one bad game in the whole of the tournament, which is the final, and we performed very, very well. So I think there's a need for us to build on this performance So right now, I don't see the Super Eagles having a problem. I see the Super Eagles new coach coming in and being the masterpiece, building on this success we had in this just concluded AFCON. So all we need is to build on that success so that we can qualify for the World Cup and probably qualify for the Nations Cup coming up. So I think that all we need right now is to build on the successes we have had. As Mr. Raphael rightly said, we have the squad, we have the good. Apart from Boniface, we have our other strikers, the Sears, Lookman, performing, firing in all cylinders in their various clubs. So I think it's time for us to translate this into our Super Eagles team. So I have total faith in Finidi George that he's going to be able to achieve this.
All right, so we're just building on what you've said so far. We have a whole lot of eyes placed on our forwarders, and then with comparison with the likes of Modric, Kevin, and other midfielders, do you think we have a creative midfielder in the Super Eagles team? Who do we have?
Okay, that is a bit of a challenge as at now, because if you look at one of the problems,
that's why I was telling you that there's a problem. There's a problem and there's a challenge. But you refused to agree with me that there is a challenge. Now you're saying that's the problem we have. So tell us.
What's the problem?
What's the problem?
Okay.
What's the solution?
So I don't see how there's a contradiction here.
Yeah, okay.
Because I don't see how you can term finishing second a bad thing. But
I'm not saying it's a totally bad thing, but I'm saying how do we build on being the first and not the second?
There is need for us to really solve our midfield issues. One of the problems we had in our concluded Nations Cup was that we saw Iwobi being the creative player for the team, and for many, he did not really perform up to how he should perform. Even the replacement we had, Yusuf, he made some rookie blunders and he was not able to perform. So there is need for us to really build our midfield properly. So I think I will agree with you, Mr. Ebuka, on this, that there is need for us to have a more solid midfield. But when you see the likes of Undidi, he played a very key role in Leicester coming back to the champions, to the Premier League. So I think there is still hope. We see Henry for Brentford. He has not been playing recently, but I think that we still have the talent. There's just a need for us to create more synergy in that midfield and for us to look for a more creative player. So thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Comrade Soko, for that very insightful analysis. But there are still other pressing issues. We can only wish for the best for the Nigerian Super Eagles, and hopefully we pray that Osimhen recovers speedily.
Yes, because just like the magic he did at the AFCON, we had stomach issues and he was back.
We really need him. The forward of the Bafanas are there to threaten our defense. So we need the likes of him, despite the fact that our rookie would be part of the team now, but we really need Osimhen to be there for us. There's this hope that he gives to an average Nigerian. Yes, whenever he's there. He's a team player for me, and he has this power of coordination even in the team. So all
right. So thank you so much, gentlemen. Look like we have very little time more here in the studio, so let's quickly rush into the other leagues, starting with the English Premier League, where we have the proposal to abolish VAR. I thought VAR was initiated to help us get a more perfect officiating, and now we're having controversies in line with VAR, and then leading to the current proposal to abolish VAR from the English Premier League matches starting next season. What's your view, gentlemen?
For me, I would say the English league has been the place where the VAR has been poorly used the most. If they can copy, I use that word and I say it again in capital letters, if they can copy the AFCON VAR referees, then it will be better for the EPL. because some calls they make in the EPL,
very wrong.
You wonder at what point in time is the VAR helping. Do you understand me? And then if I play you today, they use the VAR against me for a particular ball. Maybe the ball hits the hand here, and they say it's not handball. I play him the next day, the ball hits the hand, same place,
and they say it's handball.
You now begin to,
and then some goals are disallowed at the end of the match, and they say, yeah, that was actually a goal, but let's go ahead with it.
Do you understand? And then they have refused to introduce, which they are doing next season, the automated
goal line,
not goal line, the VAR. I've forgotten what they call it. They use it in other leagues except the EPL. Offside, to check proper offside. And you know, I yes, to say I'm an Arsenal fan, maybe that's why I'm saying what
and
I'm
you're wearing
saying.
a Man City
Something
jersey.
happened. Yes, there's a reason why I'm doing so.
Okay.
Now I'll explain myself. Now, again, Arsenal played Newcastle. There were 3 calls in that game, and VAR couldn't spot one. And they told you because they could not spot it, they let it go. They couldn't tell you if the ball left the line. They couldn't tell if Gabriel was pushed. They couldn't tell if there was an offside. So you now begin to ask,
why is VAR there?
Why is VAR there? I can excuse the referee if it's the referee, human error. He couldn't see all those things. Then VAR is supposed to help the referee, but instead is giving some results to some teams.
Okay. And comrade, I think at this point we'll have to bring you in now. The VAR issue that we are looking at, if you discover the machines are there to give us as captured, but I'm looking at it from the angle of judgment that comes from, do I call them the backroom staffs that manages and assess all of this, do I say prediction now that is coming out, or all of those things that have been captured. Are you completely, would you want to fault the VAR just like they are about to vote for it, or you are looking at the backroom handlers of this?
Godwin, I think I am looking at the operationality of the VAR. VAR is not the problem; is how it is used that is the problem. So I'm not in support of the abolishing of the VAR. I think there is the need for us to have a more improved VAR. The inconsistencies in the Premier League is just too much. That's where the problem is coming in. I think in the Premier League, the VAR is the central stage. It plays the central stage. The VAR blows for the referee. And it is not supposed to be like that. The reason why FIFA tournaments are more successful, even the CAF tournaments, the VAR is the last resort. You see the decisions, most of the decisions are coming from the referees, the officiators of the day. The VAR is just the assistant. But when you come to the Premier League, it is not like that. You see the referee is relying more deeply in the VAR, and it's because of that reliance that's where the inconsistency comes in. You start hearing things like it is not a clear and obvious error. You don't see that in FIFA tournaments. So I feel that there is need for us to go back to fix the inconsistencies of the VAR in England. So that's my opinion on that, Mr. Godwin.
All right, thank you so much. I love the fact that you use the word operationality, and that is indeed a very grievous error, especially as I'm saying. So we'll go over to you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Godwin. All right, so the midweek games, we saw the English Premier League side, that's the Man City beating Tottenham Hotspurs 2-0 to top Premier League table, and we also saw the magic hands of Emery, bringing out Aston Villa to the exactly, and he has done that in 3 different villas: Aston Villa, Villarreal, and Sevilla. He has taken them from nowhere to the Europa. All right. So what are your reviews? And we also saw Man U battling against Newcastle, and they were successful with a 3 points from the match, and Chelsea, even with a 1 red card, dealt with Brighton.
I think the midweek games were very good games. So you asked me, an Arsenal fan, what am I doing with the City jersey?
Exactly.
I decided to support City today because we noticed that on the day of City Tottenham Hotspur, even Tottenham fans are supporting City. That's to tell you how bad, how bad it has become. I know it's football banter, but then again, it gets to the point where, as a matter of fact, City recorded a very high number in that game for the very first time. That was the first time they were recording a very high attendance in that stadium, and more than half of them City fans, Tottenham fans supporting City. When the game ended,
we also saw Son, a Tottenham player celebrating with
my younger brother said this one not collect money. Do you understand?
He has collected money in Chinese yuan.
This game reminded me of a World Cup game that was timed the World Cup disgrace of all games. The World Cup disgrace of all games, where two teams, just for the African team to leave the World Cup, decided to be passing the ball to themselves until the final whistle. But one thing I want to give to the Arsenal team this season is this, that they are fighting to the last game. This only happened once, I stand to be corrected, in 2012 between Man U and Man City, when the cup was hovering on the air, either going to Manchester United or going to Manchester City. By this time last season, the league.
Yeah, exactly.
By this time last season, they had won the league clear above every
this time, yeah, exactly.
But now
there's a serious contention
on the. So even if the Arsenal team doesn't win at the end of the day, at least they gave it the best shot.
Yeah, we say the statistics on the screen. We said if City wins, Arsenal Arsenal finishes second. But if City draws, Arsenal needs must win to be crowned the champions of the English Premier League. And then if City loses their last match, Arsenal needs a must win to be crowned champions.
So for Arsenal, it's a must win, all three, if you ask me. But even with the last one, even if they finish with a win, City still tops the group with 2 points. Do you understand me? But I also want to look at the bottom belay people, middle belt. Let me call them middle belt. I want to say congratulations to Comrade Soko, because the team is picking up at the moment and they're climbing. Now their own Europe dream also is hanging on the last game, because now they've climbed above Manchester United and Newcastle United. So they are hoping and praying that Villa loses, Tottenham loses, which I pray they should lose. But then of course they're playing against Sheffield, who have nothing to lose. And then if Chelsea wins, Chelsea goes to Europe. Do you understand me? So I want to congratulate Chelsea for finding their form at this last minute. I don't know what's happening to Man U. I don't know what's happening to Liverpool. Their whole dream of giving Klopp a good farewell went down the drain. So I think the last game is going to be a fire one. So many people said I feel for West Ham and Everton, because right now the goal difference between Arsenal and City, I think, is just 2. Yes, because City has been firing from one cylinders from 10 goal gap, so it's now 2.
It's more than 2.
Which means by the time they get to the last game and it finishes on the same point, we'll now be looking at goals, because on head-to-head, Arsenal is above City.
Sorry, it's not up to 2. The goal difference is just 1.
It's just 1 now. So imagine what will happen on the last game. City will want to score 6. Arsenal will also be looking for goals. So who scores the more, in case he ends where they have the same points. So I don't envy Everton and West Ham at the moment.
So now, what's your view, or what's your prediction? What's your wish for West Ham against Man City?
If you ask me as an Arsenal fan, I'll tell you I'll be praying for a draw, because I know they definitely don't have the firepower to beat City.
So if you're sticking for a draw, why are you putting on the Citizens jersey?
That's to show you what happened this week, where everybody is supporting City, to the point that I think it was only Son you showed on the screen. There was another player too that was seen celebrating I think with it was Citizens. And this thing happened the last time in 2012, and they were calling for the neck of Cisse. Then they were calling for his neck, because after the game ended against QPR, they saw him jumping with Nasri. You just lost to City,
and you're celebrating with your Citizen.
Do you understand? He begs to tell us, where do you draw the line? who give this one money? So I believe the last game is going to be a cracker and everybody's going to enjoy it.
So before I give Godwin the opportunity, I'd like to come to you, Comrade Suko, and I want to ask, stating the fact that this is the first time Spurs losing to City in the last in the last 4 years. This is the first time in 4 years that Tottenham Hotspur is losing to City in their home. So what's your overview of the match and the contention we have now on the 2023-2024 championship of English Premier League?
Start by referring to Mr. Alfred's JC. I think that the significance of that JC is wearing is that he has thrown in the towel. I think he has accepted that City is going to go home with the tournament this year. But on that particular game, I don't think Spurs were too sad that they lost the game. They were not too sad. And I also want to go back to Mr. Alfred and ask him the question. Yeah, it was his club that we are seeing now. You need to understand that these clubs are rivals. They are not just rivals; they are rivals in the same city. So a fan of the Tottenham that was interviewed, he said that if they win the game, the joy is going to last for a day. But if they should lose that game, you understand, the pain is going to last forever. That's to say that Arsenal is still going to come and banter them with winning the trophy, if the trophy has gone to not the Arsenal. So the point I'm trying to make here is that Spurs were not too sad that they lost that particular game. They were not too sad. I think they were really praying that they won the game, and we all watched the game. Son had the opportunity to grab the points very late on, and he played a very, very, even my daughter will not play that kind of a shot. You understand? It was a very, very thin shot. So that goes to show that, and you see the same son smiling at the end of the game, like it did not actually blow the game. So it was a very funny game. It was a very funny game. I think these Spurs were really they were in between the lion and the deep blue sea. They were a really confused side on that day. Then coming back to my thing, I'm very, very proud of Chelsea at the moment.
Yeah, I was about chipping in that question about that. I'm considering the fact that they are lost to Man City. Do you think they will also celebrate if they lose their next match and lose their spot at the Europa for next season?
Okay. Right now, Spurs, I think we have a better goal difference than Spurs.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a better goal difference than Spurs. I think we are passing them with a number of goals. Yeah, it's only Newcastle that has a better goal difference than Chelsea. Yeah. But when it comes to Spurs, we have a better goal difference. So we all need to do is to match their results on Sunday. If they should draw, we should draw. If they should draw 1-1, if we can draw 1-1, I think we are qualifying for that tournament. So I think Chelsea is in a very, very good position right now. So I feel that we are going to go to the Conference League because we just need to match Spurs.
Comrade, sorry to cut you short. From the statistics before me here, Chelsea needs a win, and also wishing and hoping that Tottenham Hotspur loses their next match, because Chelsea is currently sitting at the table with 60 points. Sixth on the table with 60 points, while Tottenham is fifth on the table with 63 points. So the only thing that Chelsea needs right now is Tottenham Hotspur to lose their next match, and Chelsea wins their next match to qualify for the
So I think that statistics you are looking at now is for the Europa League.
Yeah,
I'm not even dreaming that high. I'm not looking at the Europa League. Right now we are settled in the Conference League. And I think that the Conference League, nobody can take us out of that Conference League right now. We are settled. We have a better goal difference than Spurs, which is on top. I think we have
a comrade, if you lose your next match and Newcastle wins their next match, are you still settled for the Conference League?
No, yeah. I think we have a better goal difference than Newcastle. And we're
No, you
at
don't,
now.
you don't. Newcastle have 21 goals and you have 13.
Okay, yeah. Newcastle. So the point I'm trying to make is that we just need to match Newcastle's result for us to get that Conference League. So if Tottenham should happen to lose and we can climb them, that would be an added bonus. So in overall, I think this midweek fixtures was a good one for Chelsea and for us supporting City to win the league. Thank you, Mr. Ebuka.
All right, thank you very much, Comrade Soko. One thing for me is I always love it when Soko and Rafe
Chelsea and Arsenal.
yes, are both having these banters. Unfortunately, Comrade, if you notice, the jersey he's putting on is for him to get a soft landing. But you always know where to come in from and get him from that angle. I think going forward, we've looked so much on English Premier League. So let's look at the Italian club. Having Juventus beat Atlanta to win the 15th Italian club Coppa Italian Cup title. So, Rafa, what is your take on this?
It was an any
man's
game, anybody's game.
Yeah.
Okay. And fortunately, a lot of us were rooting for
Atlanta.
Yes, Atlanta to get the trophy.
Yeah.
At least it will end up on a high, seeing that the team is very far away from the. I think they're far away from the Champions League spots. Maybe they'll get Europe again. We're hoping that they will finish on a high, seeing that he also played well towards the final. But the best team, they say, have the day, and then Juventus is celebrating their 15th Coppa Italia.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So, Comrade Soko, I think this is also to you. Juventus beating Atlanta. Do you think it was an easy feat for them, or it was actually a win that was worth it at the end?
Okay, I was actually surprised with that game because I was actually tipping Atlanta to win the game, not because of my bias in supporting Lookman, because I feel that Atlanta has been a very, very good team in recent times. They have been playing very, very beautiful football, and when it comes to the head-to-head meetings in recent times, they have not done very, very badly against this top Italian side. So I was actually rooting for them to win the game, but I was surprised that Juventus scored early and they hung on, and they were crowned the champions, the Coppa Italian champions. So going back, I think all hope is not lost for Atlanta. I think they still have the final to play. So I will continue to root for them and root for our own player, Lookman, to come out on top in that particular game.
Yeah.
So that's that on that.
And also the Atlanta is still on track on qualifying for next season's Champions League. So it's not a bad thing for Lookman because he will be at the World Championship. All right, so gentlemen, we've dwelled so much on this mountain, but we need to move ahead. So I want to know what's your predictions for this weekend futures. We have in the EPL, we have the final futures for 2023-2024 EPL season, and we have Liverpool against Wolves Sunday 19th at 4 p.m. Sheffield against Tottenham same time. Luton Town against Fulham same time. All last matches are being played same time and same date. All right, so we have Brighton against Man United same time, same date. We have Man City against West Ham, which is a deciding match for the EPL 2023-2024 season. Man City against West Ham, Arsenal against Everton, Brighton against Newcastle, Crystal Palace against Aston Villa, Burnley against Nottingham Forest, and then Chelsea against Bournemouth. What are your predictions, gentlemen?
Okay, I'm going to run from top to bottom.
All right.
From what I have here, I have
and then after that you can go to the inner room.
I have Arsenal Everton. I give it 3-0. Arsenal 3. Everton 0. Brentford Newcastle. I give it to Newcastle 2-1. 2-1 because they are fighting for something actually. Brighton Manchester United. I feel for Manchester United because Brighton just lost to Chelsea, and then they don't want to do another one again. They want to lose another game again. So I would pick this as a draw, but can't tell you the exact score.
Yeah, but Brighton had lost their last 2 matches.
Yes, they've lost their last 2 games, and they don't want to go down
third one
on a low. We have Burnley, Nottingham Forest. This is a battle of the bottom belly. Whatever happens, at least Burnley needs to score close to 20 goals, if I'm not mistaken, even if they beat even if they beat Nottingham Forest, because the goal difference is what is keeping Nottingham Forest above every one of them, aside from the slim points. So I'll still give this one to I'll give it a draw. With Chelsea, Bournemouth, like I said, Chelsea is firing on all cylinders at the moment, and they're playing well, thanks to Cole Palmer, who is doing good for them.
Exactly.
And Gallagher, who is also playing well in the midfield at the moment.
Eden Hazard.
So I still give Chelsea this game, maybe 2-1. Crystal Palace, Aston Villa. Crystal Palace has played well recently. They've played well recently, and we know the Emery spirit. So it might be a draw. Liverpool, Wolves. I give this one a draw. Luton, Fulham, anybody.
Why would you give Liverpool a draw?
Liverpool, Wolves.
Why would you give
the
Liverpool
morale is low at the moment, so they're not fighting for anything anymore. Man City, West Ham. Please, West Ham win. Sheffield, Tottenham. It's going to be a Tottenham game.
Alright, so comrade, Chelsea, Bournemouth.
Let me start from Chelsea, Bournemouth. Bournemouth has been playing very, very well in the recent times, but I see Chelsea coming out on top of that one because of probably the home advantage, and they are fighting for something. Then the Arsenal-Everton game, I see Arsenal winning that game. Everton has been very good recently, but Arsenal, they have something to fight for, and I see them winning that particular game. So I want to also chip in something at this point in time to commend Arsenal for the season they have had. They have been very, very, very good this season.
Thank you.
They've been outscoring a lot of the teams. They even outscored the great Manchester City. And they are returning to the Champions League. They also did not perform very badly in the Champions League. They were only knocked out by a very, very good Bayern Munich team. So I really want to commend Arsenal. They have, in spite of what will happen on Sunday, I must say that they had a very, very good season. On the game against, I will end by Man City against West Ham. It's going to be a tough game, but I don't see Man City bottling that particular game. I think they are not going to bottle that because they know what is at stake here. I think they are not going to go the way of Mainz and Dortmund of last season, when Dortmund had the opportunity to win the title from Bayern Munich and they bottled it on the final day. I don't see City battling that. So I think City is going to come out, be crowned the Premier League champions on Sunday. So apart from that, I really want to commend Arsenal. They gave it a very good battle. They were perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your prediction. I want to just reserve my predictions for this weekend's match, and I won't want to be a prophet of doom. But I'll hand over the baton to Godwin Ojiri to give us in just a few seconds what do you think about this weekend's predictions?
Ebuka, I wonder why you're running from me. You are throwing it back at me. We've heard from the both analysts there, and the best I can do is to wish
all the teams
well.
All right, thank you. All right, so that's all we can take this morning. We thank you for being part of the show, our esteemed viewer, and for always joining us here on Now Streaming. Thank you so very much. Thank you, our guest gentlemen. You've been wonderful today. Thank you, and we look forward to having you again, Mr. Raphael and Comrade Abraham Soko. All right, we also thank you, my co-anchor this morning.
Thank you so much, Ebuka.
Thank you.
It's true.
All right, so thank you, viewers. We hope you enjoyed our discussion on the newspapers this morning, and also the happenings on the world of sports. All right, so today, May 16, 2024, marks the following international days. That we have the International Day of Light. That's today we celebrate the life-giving light and its role in our lives. I think maybe that's why the Senate approved the 500 million for the presidency to procure meters. And we also celebrate today as the International Day for Preservation of the Ozone Layer. this day is dedicated to the preservation of the ozone layer and its importance in our ecosystem. So please do well to plant 3 today in favor of our ozone layer. And so finally, we also have the International Day of Awareness of Food Loss and Waste. This day aims to raise awareness about food loss and waste and encourages people to take action to reduce their impact on the environment. These international days are all observed by the United Nations and are an opportunity to educate the public, mobilize political will, and celebrate achievements related to the themes of each day. Alright, viewers, we also want to congratulate the new ESCOs of the FCT Swan. We had them. We had 2 of the contestants in the studio last week, where we were able to hear them out, and so we want to congratulate the winners of the FCT Swan election for 2023 to 2027, 2024 to 2027 regime. Alright, so we have the chairman as Mr. Kelechi Onwudiwe, who is right in the center with an ash color suit. That's the picture on your screen there. Amongst others, the vice chairman, Mr. Victor Okoye, the secretary, Mr. Samuel Amadu, and the assistant secretary, Mr. Joshua Friday, financial secretary, Mr. Ni Busari, the treasurer, Mrs. Jane Francis Winze, and the welfare officer, Miss Joanne Iwuchuku. Congratulations to all of you all. I wish you a wonderful and a successful tenure. Alright, thank you so much, viewers, once more. Don't forget to tune in next time for more exciting topics and analysis on the world of sports and happening around our nation. And until then, goodbye and have a great day ahead.